Obviously, our audience is also very interested in the economy this evening, and they've got a number of questions for our candidates revolving around the issue of jobs and job creation. If Steve Carlson, if you'd be the first to answer this next question. Minnesota unemployment rate is high. What specific actions could you take in your role to help small businesses and businesses in the private sector create jobs specifically in Minnesota?
Okay, well, I've been talking about this from the beginning because it's the top issue that we face. You know, Minnesota businesses have been spinning their wheels trying to get out of this recession. And here's what I mean. There's been twice as many posted jobs as the jobs that have been filled. Now, somebody thought that that was pretty nutty that I came up with that. But then all of a sudden, Bill Clinton says, we've got this stunning statistic nobody's talked about. Twice as many since the last 20 months. They're posting a lot more jobs than they're filling. And then just 2 weeks ago, 3 economists got the Nobel Prize for trying to come up with this seeming anomaly. So I hope people will pay attention to this. It's a gap that we need to close. Now, if the way that we should close it, I think, is reduce the cost and the time that it takes to try to hire people. People spend a lot of money just trying to hire people. In an economy like this, now's the time. I think we got to regulate illegal affirmative action, which means action is not justified under the law. You lost your mic. Sorry. And also, but we should have equal opportunity. So things like that. I don't think the comparable worth kind of strategies that load our companies up with bureaucracies is helping us at all. So I'd like to look at some of those things.
Thank you. Betty McCollum, if you'd be the next candidate to answer the question about jobs, what specific actions will you take to help small businesses and businesses in the private sector create new jobs specifically here in Minnesota?
President Bush just recently signed into law a small business a package, which got capital flowing to our small business community. I was just in St. Anthony, and I've been meeting with other folks around here, and they're very excited about the fact that capital is going to be out there so that they can add on to their business, purchase equipment. One of the things that we did in the small business bill is we helped small businesses write off their equipment purchases a lot faster as a tax credit. So there's a lot we can do. The other thing that we need to do is we need to continue to work with small businesses when they ask for a partnership with the federal government in research and development. You know, we have a real high medical device and a lot of innovation going on in IT in here in the Twin Cities. One of the things that they would like access to is working in partnership for supercomputers. They would like us to work with them to make sure that we have a top-notch university in which research and development can take place.
Thank you. Teresa Collette, if you'd be the final candidate to answer the question about jobs, what specific actions can you take to help small businesses and businesses in the private sector create new jobs in Minnesota?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd stabilize the government part of the financial sector, which means that I would act on President Obama's $3.8 billion tax increase instead of adjourning early to come home and campaign. The second thing I would do is I would pass that piece of paper that gives a 5-year projection of government expenditure in order to allow businesses to know what that sort of environment's going to be like. Because the reason there is capital out there laying idle, and there is, as President Obama has noted, is because the owners of that capital simply do not know whether if they invested in something, it will be taxed at an unusual and unknown high tax rate in the future, or it will be regulated out of existence. The current Congress, in failing to pass a budget and in failing to act on the proposed tax hike, has made an incredibly hostile environment for investment, and by their huge deficits, they have absorbed a tremendous amount of the capital trying to pay off government debt instead of building new plants and putting people to work.
Thank you. Steve Carlson has indicated an interest in a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, I totally agree with the certainty. We need to pass both the entire package of the Bush tax cuts for at least 2 years. And because we don't want to keep jumping around, we want to look at things like the investment tax and the capital gains tax. We don't want to raise those on people at this point either. But these things like small business packages and university, these things are not going to take effect now. That's why I've been looking at what we can do on the ground right now to get people hired. You know, there's about let's say there's 7 million small businesses. If everyone hired one, you'd have 7 million new jobs created. That's kind of
Thank
thinking
you.
of it.